Hello, this is Marianne, and for the next hour, I will be reading from the May-June 2026 issue of the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio reading service. Page 1. Then and Now, Jews Shaping American Life. May is Jewish American Heritage Month, a designation established in 2006 to recognize and celebrate more than 350 years of Jewish contributions to American life, and to ensure those stories are seen, understood, and part of how the greater American story is told. Like other similar heritage months observed throughout the year, it offers a moment to recognize the role of our community in shaping this country. It is both a tribute to the generations of Jewish Americans who helped form the fabric of American history, culture, and society, and an opportunity to better understand the evolution of the American Jewish experience. Jewish tradition teaches that every Jewish soul was present at Sinai at the very moment the Torah was given, a story we revisit each year on Shavuot, which will be observed this year beginning Thursday evening, May the 21st. It is a reminder that across time and place, we are part of a shared and enduring story. From the first Jewish settlers arriving in New Amsterdam in 1654 to today, Jewish Americans have helped shape American society across every field, including science and medicine, the arts, business, culture, and public life. That influence is not confined to the past. It is all around us today. Across the country, Jewish individuals are leading, creating, building, and influencing in ways that are both extraordinary and deeply embedded in American life. Do you know Denny Avdija, Sarah Hurwitz, or Liz Rose? On the hardwood, Avdija, a forward for the Portland Trail Blazers, is emerging as a high-impact, versatile player, competing at the highest level while bringing his Jewish and Israeli identity into the center of American sports culture. In the world of ideas, Sarah Hurwitz, a former White House speech writer, is shaping contemporary conversations about identity, meaning, and belonging. Through her New York Times best-selling book, As a Jew, she is bringing Jewish thought into broader American cultural discourse. P.S. Sarah will be here in Buffalo speaking at the Federation's annual campaign for Jewish Buffalo Kickoff event on September the 23rd at UB Center for the Arts. And in digital spaces, creators like Liz Rose, aka Jewishly Liz, are building large, engaged audiences by sharing authentic, everyday Jewish life using humor, ritual, and storytelling to shape how Jewish identity is understood in today's cultural landscape. And here in Buffalo, we see this same spirit reflected in Jewish leaders, creators, and community members who are shaping the cultural and civic ecosystem of our region. In the pages that follow, you will meet some of those individuals. Different arenas, different parts of the country, yet one common thread: Jewish identity expressed openly and actively, shaping American culture in real time. That is the purpose of Jewish American Heritage Month, to ensure that this influence is recognized as part of the American story, and that visibility carries real weight. In recent months, many in the Jewish community have felt an increased concern for safety and security at Jewish institutions, communal gatherings, and in public spaces. For many, being visibly Jewish now comes with a heightened awareness, making the act of showing up, of being seen, and of living openly as a Jew even more meaningful. If we were all present at Sinai, then we are all part of this story. Jewish American Heritage Month is not only about honoring the past, it is an invitation to be visible, to be present, and to contribute, and to recognize that each of us, in our own way, helps shape what Jewish American life looks like today, and that our presence, our voice, and our contributions matter. Announcement on page 1. The summer celebration. There's a golf tournament on July the 20th, 2026 at Transit Valley Country Club. For more information, please register or visit buffalojewishfederation.org/summer-celebration. Page 2. Never is Now What I Learned About Fighting Anti-Semitism Today by Mike Stikloff. Back in March, I attended the Anti-Defamation League Never Is Now conference alongside University at Buffalo student and students supporting Israel, President Anton Danilovich. We joined Jewish leaders, students, and allies from across the country to confront one of the most urgent challenges facing our community today: the alarming rise of anti-Semitism. The data shared at the conference was sobering. Anti-Semitic incidents have increased by 893% over the past decade. In 2024, there was an 84% increase in anti-Semitism on college campuses. 1 in 5 anti-Semitic incidents now takes place on campus. 40% of Jewish students report being directly affected by anti-Semitism, and 3/4 say they feel uncomfortable sharing their views on Israel. These numbers are not abstract. They represent real fear, isolation, and harm. This year alone, 20 Jews were killed in anti-Semitic attacks, making it one of the deadliest years in recent memory. Meanwhile, 55% of Jewish Americans report experiencing anti-Semitism in just the past year. At the conference, one message was repeated: anti-Semitism is not just a Jewish problem, it is a threat to democracy itself. When hatred against Jews is normalized, the fabric of an open and pluralistic society begins to unravel. So what can we do? The ADL frames its work around 3 pillars: protect, advocate, and educate. But beyond these guiding principles, the conference offered something equally valuable: practical, research-backed strategies for changing hearts and minds. Through randomized experiments involving thousands of participants, researchers have identified what works in conversations about anti-Semitism. One of the most striking findings: those who fight anti-Semitism often spend most of their time talking only to people who already agree with them. If we want real change, we must engage those who may hold misconceptions or even anti-Semitic views. Here are several key approaches from the research. Highlight the personal impact of anti-Semitism. Focus on personal, specific, everyday impacts of anti-Semitism on Jewish individuals. Avoid talking about collective Jewish suffering. Underscore Jewish people's warmth. Highlight warmth, social values, and everyday experiences of Jewish individuals, such as community involvement or family dinners. Avoid overemphasizing achievements or influence which can reinforce stereotypes. Feature the voices of allies and supporters. Feature non-Jewish voices speaking about anti-Semitism and validating Jewish experiences. They can serve as a proxy for the audience to understand and empathize with the issue. Use everyday people in contemporary scenarios. Use the term anti-Semitism thoughtfully. Use the words hatred of the Jewish people, as most people understand what this means. In some cases, people may recognize that a scenario is hurtful or problematic, but may not feel comfortable labeling it as anti-Semitic. Only label the most hateful things anti-Semitic. Avoid comparisons. Address anti-Semitism without comparing it to other forms of bias. Avoid implying that anti-Semitism is more important or worse than other forms of discrimination. Talk about personal importance and connection to Israel. Share what Israel means to you. Describe Israel as a safe haven for Jews. Education about Israel is important, but education alone will not necessarily change hearts and minds. Pair education with a personal connection to Israel. Use phrases like elimination of Israel and define it as extreme and unpopular. Use clear language like elimination of Israel or right for Israel to exist rather than anti-Zionism or Zionism. Highlight that 80% of Americans support Israel's right to exist and that those who don't believe this hold a fringe opinion. For those of us working on college campuses, these lessons are urgent. Jewish students are navigating an increasingly hostile environment where expressing identity or support for Israel can come at a social or academic cost. University administrators must continue to do more. They must stand up, show up, and do the right thing, ensuring that Jewish students feel safe, supported, and able to participate fully in campus life. Silence or neutrality in the face of anti-Semitism is not an option. At Hillel of Buffalo, we are committed not only to confronting anti-Semitism, but also to build a vibrant, joyful Jewish life. The two go hand in hand. When Jewish students feel proud, connected, and supported, they are better equipped to face the challenges around them. The title of the conference, Never Is Now, is both a warning and a call to action. The rise of anti-Semitism demands urgency, courage, and clarity. But it also demands something else, a willingness to reach beyond our comfort zones, to engage in difficult conversations, and to build a broader coalition of allies. Because the fight against anti-Semitism is not just about protecting Jews, it is about protecting the kind of society we all want to live in. Announcement on page 2. Fiddler on the Roof will be performed on Sunday, June the 7th at the Elgin Theatre, 189 Yonge Street, Toronto. For more information, please visit bit.ly/fiddlerintoronto. Page 3. Award in Memory of Heroes Founder honors exemplary educator. The Holocaust Education Research Organization, HERO, will once again honor outstanding contributions to Holocaust education with the presentation of the Tobit Dichting-Bach Educator Award at its annual ceremony on May the 18th. The evening will also celebrate student voices and community leadership through awards for the Arts and Writing Contest, the Sophia Weffer Obstander Award, and the ABEC Student Obstander Award. Page 4. Yom HaShoah showcases Nuremberg Trials International Legal Legacy. The Holocaust Education Research Organization and the Buffalo Jewish Federation's annual Yom HaShoah commemoration on April the 12th recognized not only the 6 million Jewish lives lost in the Holocaust, but also the enduring legacy of Robert H. Jackson, 80 years after the Nuremberg trials created international precedent for war crimes prosecution. The event bridged justice ideals born of World War II with today's Western New York legal community. Kristen McMahon, president of the Robert H. Jackson Center, shared how Jackson defined global responsibility and individual morality. And new this year, Hero and Federation partnered with the Erie County Bar Association, the Minority Bar Association of Western New York, and the Western New York chapter of the Women's Bar Association of New York State, thanks to the leadership of the Honorable Lisa Bloch Rodwin and Hero Council Chairman Armand Morrison. Next article, Bondi Beach Stories and Town Hall Q&A with Congressman Tim Kennedy. On April the 13th, the Buffalo Jewish Federation convened an intimate conversation with Congressman Tim Kennedy about the anti-Semitic terrorist attack last Hanukkah at Bondi Beach, Australia. The congressman shared stories of survivors of the attack and spoke at length about meeting the man responsible of tackling and disarming one of the gunmen. In addition, Rabbi Yehuda Lorber shared the harrowing first-hand experience of his brother-in-law and the nephews who were present during the attack. Following their reflections from the Bondi Beach attack, Kennedy spoke to his leadership in confronting rising anti-Semitism and his efforts to secure additional funding for the non-profit security grant program. There is an announcement on page 4. The 2026 awards ceremony of the Holocaust Education Research Organization will be held on May the 18th at 7 p.m. Location will be given closer to event. RSVP at bit.ly/HeroAwards26. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Page 5. Student-to-student seniors share powerful takeaways. The Buffalo Jewish Federation Student-to-Student Programs recognizes 4 outstanding seniors from its 2025-2026 cohort. In Student-to-Student, Jewish teenagers visit local schools to share personal experiences and educate peers about Judaism, helping reduce prejudice through real stories and accurate information. Federation proudly spotlights these young leaders. Tallulah Ennis. Tallulah Ennis has been a student-to-student presenter for 3 years. I signed up to participate because Judaism is something I am really passionate about, she said. I love talking to people about Judaism and how I practice Judaism, and student-to-student is a great way to do that while also having an impact on other people. Noah Garson. Noah Garson is also a 3-year student-to-student presenter, inspired by his brother Joshua's experience. Through his own experience now, he values sharing my culture and identity with others. Sarah Lewis. Sarah Lewis has participated in student-to-student for 2 years, motivated in part to combat anti-Semitism. Jara Lazarus Klein. Joining Tallulah and Noah is Jara Lazarus Klein, who has also participated for 3 years, drawn by student-to-student's mission and leadership opportunities. She says she now feels closer to my Jewish identity and family history. If you know a high schooler entering their sophomore through senior year who would like to join the 2026-2027 cohort, please email Rachel Bierman at at buffalojewishfederation.org. This was a summary of the article. Announcements on page 6. Hillel of Buffalo will celebrate their spring celebration on Tuesday, May the 5th. 6:30 p.m. there will be a reception, and 7 p.m. a formal program. This will be held at the University at Buffalo North Campus, Student Union 210. For RSVP, please go to hillelofbuffalo.org/spring celebration. Another announcement, Tikkun Leil Shavuot will be held on May the 21st and May the 22nd at Temple Beth Tzedek. The evening service starts at 8:15 p.m. Sunrise Shaharit service at 5 a.m. Still on page 6, educators gather for Inspiring Day of Holocaust Education. Buffalo's commitment to meaningful Holocaust education was on full display as more than 80 educators convened for the Holocaust Education Research Organization annual educator conference last month. The day brought together teachers from across the region for a powerful experience of learning, reflection, and professional growth. The conference was expertly facilitated by Echoes and Reflections educators Jen Goss and Todd Hennessy, whose guidance helped create an engaging and thoughtful environment. One of their new lessons focused on the Holocaust experiences of Gerda Weissman and Kurt Klein, local Holocaust survivors with a unique story, as Kurt was also Gerda's liberator. The addition of this lesson to the Echoes and Reflections curriculum marks a significant and meaningful moment for the Buffalo community, deepening local connections to Holocaust history through personal narratives. Adding a deep personal dimension to the program, Kevin Starr, a retired educator and longtime family friend of the client for more than 60 years, shared heartfelt memories and reflections. His stories offered educators a rare and intimate perspective, bringing history to life in a way that resonated throughout the room. Later, the conference shifted focus to media literacy, equipping educators with essential tools to help students critically evaluate information in today's complex digital landscape. This session underscored the ongoing importance of teaching not only history, but also the skills needed to navigate and interpret modern media responsibly. Educators left the conference with a sense of renewed purpose to carry on the lessons of the Holocaust, inspiring hope that today's students will grow into tomorrow's leaders who stand up to hate and build a more just and understanding world. Page 8. Buffalo's Jewish Legacy: 3 Lives That Shaped American Society. The story of the American Jew is often told through Ellis Island and the crowded tenements of the Lower East Side. Yet to fully understand Jewish contributions to American life, one must also look to the Queen City of the Great Lakes. In Buffalo, a distinctive Jewish community flourished, one marked by a commitment to Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, a melodic soul that bridged the synagogue and the stage, and a mathematical brilliance that unlocked the secrets of the molecular world. Through the lives of Cecil B. Weiner, Harold Arlen, and Herbert Hauptman, we see how Jewish values helped shape American society. These leaders were not merely participants in American life, they helped build its social, cultural, and scientific foundations. Guardians of the community, Cecil B. Weiner and the NCJW. Inspired by the founding vision of the National Council of Jewish Women, the Buffalo chapter of NCJW became a hub for Jewish learning and civic responsibility beginning in 1895. As social challenges grew during the Great Depression and World War II, its focus expanded from study to direct service. Originally, the group focused on the intellectual, Bible study, history, and the preservation of Jewish culture in a rapidly secularizing world. But as the 20th century groaned under the Great Depression and the horrors of World War II, the NCJW's mission shifted. At the heart of this transformation was Cecil B. Weiner, one of the first women admitted to the university at Buffalo School of Law. She used her legal training to advocate for vulnerable children and families. Weiner helped lead the Erie County Child Welfare Board, and her crowning achievement came when she was appointed judge of the Erie County Children's Court. In this role, she became a matriarch for the city's most vulnerable, bridging the gap between Jewish and non-Jewish communities with a universal brand of compassion. She also became the first female leader of what would become the Jewish Federation of Buffalo. Her work reflected a distinctly Jewish understanding that faith is expressed through responsibility for others. The melody of the middle ground, Harold Arlen, born Hyman Arluck in Buffalo, Harold Arlen absorbed the emotional depth of synagogue music alongside the rhythms of American jazz. The son of a cantor, his early exposure to the soulful improvisation wails of cantorial music, the chazanut, shaped the melodic sensibility that later defined his compositions. Now, mingling with jazz, he began performing with the Snappy Trio and the Buffalodians. In 1924, at the age of 19, Arlen published his first song, My Gal, My Pal. It was a modest start, but his musical ambition was vast, and he eventually made the pilgrimage to California. Together with lyricist Jip Harburg, Arlen composed Over the Rainbow, one of the most enduring songs of the 20th century. Its message of longing and hope resonated deeply with Jewish immigrants seeking security and belonging. Arlen, who won an Academy Award in 1939, transformed the musical language of the synagogue into part of the American cultural canon, demonstrating how Jewish tradition could enrich national culture. The architect of the invisible, Herbert Hauptmann. If Weiner represented a communal responsibility and Arlen artistic creativity, Herbert Hauptmann embodied the Jewish reverence for learning. Educated at the City College of New York, he pursued a bold scientific challenge, determining molecular structure through mathematical analysis of X-ray diffraction. After joining the Medical Foundation of Buffalo in 1970, Hauptmann's decades of research and labor bore fruit there. In 1985, the world watched as a boy from a Jewish family in the Bronx stood on a stage in Stockholm to receive the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. His work revolutionized the development of medicines by enabling scientists to identify molecular structures with precision. Today, his legacy continues at the Hauptmann Woodward Medical Research Institute. In his later years, Hauptmann remained a Buffalo fixture, quietly walking the street until his passing in 2011. His Nobel Prize medal, now housed in the Kofeld Judaic collection, serves as a reminder that the Jewish commitment to inquiry can literally change the way we see the world. A shared journey? The stories of Weiner, Arlen, and Hauptmann illustrate how Jewish values helped shape Buffalo and American life. Their achievements reflect a blend of Great Lakes determination and enduring intellectual tradition. Together, they remind us that Jewish contributions are found not only in history books, but also in the laws that protect society, the music that inspires hope, and the scientific discoveries that improve human life. Page 10, Jewish American Heritage. A first article, Hoops, Heritage and Heart, by Jonathan Safir. Being Jewish has long played an instrumental role in both my life and my career. I knew from around the time of my bar mitzvah that playing in the NBA was unlikely to be a realistic goal for me. Rather, I wanted to turn to the next best thing, which to me meant coaching. Being around and involved in the game of basketball, ideally at the highest levels, has driven me. There is a strong connection between how I approach coaching, teaching, and my career at the concept of Rachmons, a Yiddish word derived from Hebrew meaning compassion or empathy. I tried to instill those values in everything that I do. Being Jewish also adds a layer of perseverance, some built-in mental toughness, if you will. Our history and upbringing as Jews carry a deep thread of that perseverance. Along the same lines, basketball does not necessarily have the most robust Jewish presence, so being visible, accessible, available, and successful can help change or evolve stereotypes and narratives and can serve as a role model. All in all, especially now, as a husband and father, daughter Ryan 9 months old, helping others with my background and story can hopefully inspire others. I take great pride in being Jewish and a basketball coach. It is part of who I am, and it helps to drive, motivate, and inspire me, and hopefully also inspire future generations of those who want to get into coaching that are Jewish as well. Jonathan Safir grew up in Buffalo and currently serves as an assistant coach for the men's basketball team at the University of Florida. Next article, Into the Kitchen, where recipes tell our heritage and stories. Into the Kitchen is more than a cooking class. It is a gathering place for memory, discovery, and connection. Held bi-monthly, this Link Jewish Buffalo hands-on experience invites participants to explore Jewish recipes that span the generations, from cherished family dishes lovingly created to new interpretations that keep our culinary traditions vibrant and evolving. Each session is built around a theme, offering a meaningful lens through which food becomes storytelling. For some, these themes unlock nostalgia, the aroma of a grandmother's kugel, the familiar shaping of challah, or the taste of a holiday dish that once was the centerpiece of our family dinner tables. For others, especially those newer to Jewish cooking, the themes provide an accessible and welcoming entry point to begin creating traditions of their own. What makes Into the Kitchen special is not just what's on the table, but also what is shared around it. Participants bring their stories, memories, and curiosity, transforming recipes into our living history. A simple dish can become a conversation about our Jewish American heritage and identity, even when those recipes predate our family's arrival to the United States. Our world moves so quickly that taking the time to cook together offers a special opportunity to slow down. It reminds us that cooking, sharing, and eating food is one of the most powerful ways that we can transmit culture and values across generations. Whether we are preserving the past or experimenting with making memories for the future, our time together helps to ensure that Jewish food traditions continue to nourish, not just our bodies, but our sense of belonging, family, and community. Register for upcoming classes at buffalojewishfederation.org/link-gatherings. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Page 11, Rooted Right Here in Buffalo, Gloria Tetevsky's Music Legacy and World Premiere by Ellen Goldstein. This is the sound of 6 million songs and dreams, 6 million questions, 6 million answers, and 6 million reasons for being a Jew. Gloria Parnas Tetevsky. When Gloria Parnas was a child in 1930s St. Louis, she was the only Jew in the school. And when she started kindergarten, she was accused of killing Jesus. That is something she never forgot, especially now, nearly a century later in Buffalo, where she, now Gloria Parnas Tetevsky, recently prepared for the performance of the cantata she wrote decades ago about the Holocaust for the Sisterhood of then Temple Beth El. It premiered March the 29th, newly orchestrated and arranged at Temple Beth Zion's Stained Glass Concert Series. The Valley of Silence, Search for 6 Million, is the cantata that Mrs. Tetevsky wrote in the 1970s, both the words and music for piano, as a response to the cruelty and inhumanity of the Holocaust. When I read Elie Wiesel's book Night many years ago, I felt that I had to write something because of the immense sadness of the story. But it was also important that we learn something from it. We must value our humanity and frame this knowledge around freedom to live our lives as decent human beings, she said. In certain sections of the work, I took phrases from the liturgy and set them to music to bring out the fact that life is a very precious gift. We must recognize the sacredness of our life and the sacredness of time. Gloria earned a bachelor's degree in music at the Chicago Music College and also attended Washington University Art School. She moved to Buffalo in 1953 after meeting Hyman Tetevsky, M.D. They affiliated first with Temple Beth El, and as congregations have closed and merged over the years, she is now a member of Congregation Shir Shalom. She still plays piano and even has a baby grand piano in her senior living apartment. In the 1970s, no one was talking about the Holocaust that much. In 1973, the Sisterhood at Temple Beth El put me in charge of its Jewish Music Month. I decided to write this cantata for Holocaust commemoration, Gloria said. What's new now is that Moshe Schumann has fully orchestrated it because it was originally written for piano and 2 voices, baritone and soprano, plus a narrator. Russian-born Israeli-American composer and multi-instrumentalist Dr. Moshe Schumann is a 2015 Fromm Music Foundation Commission recipient from Harvard University and winner of the 2018 American Prize in Composition, with international honors including the International Jurgenson Competition in Moscow. A violinist, violist, bandoneon player, and leader of the Buffalo Tango Orchestra, his music has been performed worldwide by ensembles such as the Arditi Quartet and the Brasilia National Symphony, bringing a global artistic voice to Western New York. One of the many extraordinary elements of the March 29th Stained Glass Concert was that Chicago-based cantor Steven Stewart, whose father was a Holocaust survivor, sang and brought a special musical instrument known as the violin of hope, which was given to him by a descendant of Romani victims of the Holocaust. It was played at the Buffalo concert by Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra violinist Antoine Lefebvre. By doing this, Cantor Stoer enabled the presentation of the music about what happened, with an instrument which was right there where and when it happened, the Holocaust in 1930s and 40s Europe. This stained glass concert also featured a full 22-plus piece orchestra. Vocals were sung by Temple Beth Zion's cantor Susan Lewis Friedman alongside the Jewish Community Center's cantor Mark Horowitz and cantor Stoer, all performing beneath Temple Beth Zion's renewed stained glass masterpiece at 805 Delaware Avenue. Created by internationally celebrated artist Ben Shahar, Mrs. Tetevsky expressed her gratitude to all the people who made this event possible. As Jews, we want to assert our humanity. They took everything away from us, but they couldn't take our humanity, which gives us freedom to be an ethical, moral person using our freedom in the right way. May we all continue to hold on to this humanitarian vision and hope. Funding for this concert was made possible through Arts Services Inc.'s Creative Impact Fund, thanks to a New York State Senate initiative supported by the NYS legislature and the Office of the Governor and administered by the New York State Council on the Arts. Page 12. George Peter Allen Weinman. George Peter Allen Weinman is a first-generation American, the son of German Jewish refugees who fled Nazi Germany in search of safety and freedom. That family history has profoundly shaped his lifelong commitment to justice. Being born in the shadow of the Holocaust symbolizes both the continuity and resilience of the Jewish people. My parents could easily have perished in the death camps, he reflects. Instead, they were able to escape with their own parents and build a new life in America, instilling in me a deep sense of gratitude and responsibility. After a distinguished 35-year career practicing both civil and criminal law, Governor Kathy Hochul nominated Judge Weinman to the New York State Court of Claims. Following confirmation by the New York State Senate, he was assigned to serve in the New York State Supreme Court. He earned his BA from Case Western Reserve University, his JD from Cardozo Law School, Yeshiva University, and his MPA from Harvard University. Throughout his career, first as an attorney and now as a judge, he has been guided by enduring Jewish values in the pursuit and dispensing of justice. 3 core Jewish teachings have consistently shaped his approach to both law and life. Tikkun Olam, the responsibility to repair and improve the world, the ethical framework embodied in the 10 Commandments, and the biblical concept of B'Tselem Elohim, the belief that every human being is created in the divine image and therefore possess inherent dignity and infinite worth. Those core tenets power me from behind the bench, he notes. Judge Weinman and his wife Amelida have raised their 4 children with the same deep commitment to Jewish life and learning that has guided his own path, including active engagement with synagogue life at Temple Beth Zion, Jewish education through the Kadima School, participation in Jewish summer camp, and opportunities for travel to Israel. Through both his professional service and family life, Judge Weinman demonstrates how Jewish heritage can serve as a foundation for ethical leadership, civic responsibility, and a lifelong commitment to justice. Next article, Dr. Gail Bernstein, health advocate and leader. For Jewish American Heritage Month, the story of Dr. Gail Bernstein stands as a powerful example of leadership, service, and the enduring influence of Jewish values in public life. A pediatrician specializing in adolescent medicine, Dr. Bernstein serves as the Erie County Commissioner of Health, overseeing public health initiatives that impact nearly 1 million residents across Erie County, and as clinical professor of pediatrics at the UB Jacobs School of Medicine. Commitment to addressing some of the most urgent public health challenges of our time shaped Dr. Bernstein's career, from combating vaccine hesitancy to confronting gun violence, fatal overdoses, and lead poisoning. Her leadership reflects both scientific rigor and deep compassion. She also prioritizes expanding access to sexual health and family planning care through a health equity lens, ensuring underserved communities receive the care they need. Among her most defining professional moments are three experiences that illustrate the breadth of her impact. Early in her career, she conducted groundbreaking research on chlamydia infection rates among adolescents and young adults. Her findings helped inform Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) national screening guidelines. In a moment that beautifully intertwined her personal and professional identities, her landmark paper was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association on the same evening as her oldest son's bris, marking her simultaneous entry into Jewish motherhood and scientific recognition. Years later, as Erie County faced a devastating opioid crisis, Dr. Bernstein led a multidisciplinary task force that helped redefine treatment approaches. Working alongside community partners, she helped establish the first clinic in the region to prescribe buprenorphine for youth. Her efforts contributed to a measurable decline in overdose deaths, positioning Erie County as a national leader in addressing the epidemic. Perhaps most visible was her leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic. Beginning in March 2020, Dr. Bernstein directed a comprehensive response that included large-scale testing, contact tracing, public communication, and mass vaccination efforts. Under her guidance, Erie County built systems that not only responded to the crisis but helped save lives and keep the community informed and protected. Dr. Bernstein credits several Jewish mentors for inspiring her journey, including Dr. Robert Ehrenreich, Dr. Evelyn Hurwitz, and Dr. Jonathan Zenilman. These role models not only shaped her medical expertise, but also reinforced the ability to balance a meaningful career with a rich Jewish family life. At the core of her work is the Jewish value of Tikkun Olam, the responsibility to repair and improve the world. This principle guides her approach to public health, driving her to create systems that promote dignity, safety, and well-being for all. Reflecting on her legacy, Dr. Bernstein hopes she contributed to advancements in adolescent health, substance use disorder treatment, and pandemic response, while helping Western New York residents feel safe, respected, and empowered. She emphasizes that none of her accomplishments would be possible with the support of her parents, Irvin and Marna Bernstein, her husband, Peter Bloom, and her sons, Zachary and Joshua Bloom, who are a source of strength throughout her journey. In celebrating Jewish American Heritage Month, Dr. Gail Bernstein's story reminds us that leadership rooted in compassion, science, and cultural values can truly transform communities. Page 13. Stu Boyar, a sports broadcaster. Jewish values have long shaped how Stu Boyar approaches both his life and career. Judaism impacts every aspect of your life, no matter how religious or non-religious you are. Stu reflects. If you are brought up in a Jewish home, you are given a set of values that come directly from one place, the Torah. You value humanity, ethics, dignity, family, children, education, and more. I think it has a direct impact on every decision you make, whether you realize it or not, and I thank my mother and father for that. Those values accompanied Stu when he first arrived in Buffalo in February 1985. While most Western New Yorkers recognized him from his many years at WGRZ TV, his career in broadcasting began more than a decade earlier. At just 16 years old, Stu took a job as a gopher at WAXZ AM radio in Rochester. A gopher was someone responsible for running errands, whether fetching coffee or picking up supplies. A wonderful man named Rich Funke was the news director of WAXC, and I asked him if he would work with me because I thought I might have some sort of future in broadcasting, Stu said. Funk asked him to read Associated Press wire copy and offered feedback that Stu read well but should sound more authoritative. Stu took the advice seriously and through hard work and persistence earned his first on-air opportunity on the station's overnight shift. Outside of my dad, he had the most impact on my life out of anyone, Stu recalls of Funke. While working overnights, Stu also took on part-time roles, including his first television opportunity covering weekend sports at Rochester's WHEC-TV. He later moved to WSEE-TV in Erie, Pennsylvania, where he did a little bit of everything from 1978 through 1984. His next stop was Buffalo's WGRZ-TV Channel 2, where he became a familiar and trusted presence as a longtime sports anchor and reporter. Despite a storied career in sports, one of Stu's most memorable experiences involved a major news story. When the manhunt for Ralph Phillips came to an end, news managers asked Stu to record video of Phillips' arrival following the murderer's apprehension. The media had nicknamed Phillips Bucky, but fellow broadcaster Ed Kilgore advised that journalists should avoid giving criminals nicknames, suggesting that doing so can humanize them and unintentionally imply sympathy. The moment left a lasting impression on Stu. I had a great time, Stu said of his years in television. I have many memorable moments covering Bills games and getting interviews, and that goes for the Sabres too. Throughout his career, Stu also drew inspiration from Jewish figures in broadcasting, including Mary Albert, the iconic voice of the New York Rangers for decades. Closer to home, Don Fisher of WROC-TV in Rochester offered advice to Stu: just remember, have fun. Today, Stu continues to call high school games for WNY Athletics, which live streams local matchups across Western New York. Ever humble, Stu does not consider himself a Buffalo broadcasting icon. He does hope, however, that his work has left a meaningful impression. I am just a guy who had a good long run, he said. I would like to think in all the things I have done that a young person will remember something I said and carry that with them. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Next article, Sandra Block, physician and author. For Dr. Sandra Block, writing has always been a part of her life. She joked, I always wanted to be a writer, so I became a neurologist. Her first memories of writing date back to childhood, when even her elementary school poetry hinted at a natural storyteller's instinct. During her medical residency in Buffalo, she completed her first novel, Scalpel. Looking back, she is candid about its flaws, but she recognizes it now as an essential beginning. Her focus on career and family took precedence for a while, but the pull of storytelling never disappeared. Around age 40, Sandra recommitted herself to writing, producing stronger work that quickly found an agent and a publishing deal. The rest, as they say, is history, she notes. In many ways, her writing life grew alongside her life in Buffalo. When asked about her favorite novel, Sandra compares it to asking who your favorite child is. She singles out Little Black Lies as especially meaningful. The book introduced Zoe Goldman, a character who would earn Sandra a publishing deal. A New York Times review on the book was a finalist for an International Thrillers Award. Zoe was an influential character that opened doors for Sandra in the publishing world. Sandra draws inspiration from fellow Jewish writers Pam Genoff and Lisa Barr. They are both proudly Jewish and write proudly Jewish fiction, when that is not always easy in a post-October the 7th world. Both Genoff and Barr were in a women's writers group that Sandra still belongs to. They showed me that if you keep writing, you can have success, even if it takes a while. You may still be able to reach a lot of people and touch a lot of lives. Her Jewish heritage informs both her career path and her writing. A drive to achieve led her into medicine, while a fascination with the brain shapes her fiction, where neurological and mental health themes often play central roles. Characters in Sandra's books are frequently Jewish by default, an intentional act of representation in a literacy landscape where Jewish voices are still underrepresented. Ultimately, Sandra hopes her story and her work inspire others to take a chance and not giving up on your dream, whatever that is. I hope that Jews, as well as people with mental challenges, see themselves in my books, she says, and feel helped even just a little. Sandra A. Block is a practicing neurologist, proud Sabres fan, and award-recognized author based in Western New York. Balancing medicine and writing, she crafts psychologically rich thrillers that explore identity, mental health, and resilience. Her newest novel, The Bachelorette Party, is out now. Page 14, Exodus in Action at Kadima. The halls of Kadima were filled with the sights, smells, and spirit of Passover this spring as students took part in hands-on learning that brought ancient tradition vividly to life. Their journey began with matzah, the most elemental food of the holiday, guided by Rabbi Leitzer and Chani Lapkovsky. Students separated wheat from chaff, examined individual grains, and learned the careful halachic distinctions between matzah and everyday bread. Central to the lesson was the well-known 18-minute limit from the moment flour meets water until baking is complete. Creativity enhanced the experience. Using recycled paper towel holders as rolling pins, students transformed simple materials into tools of tradition, connecting resourcefulness with Jewish values such as tikkun olam. Their enthusiasm made each step feel meaningful and personal. The learning continued with a lively pre-Passover Seder. Tables were set with My Passover Haggadah activity sheets to guide students through the story of the Exodus. Each child sampled traditional matzah along with greens of lettuce, celery, and parsley. A highlight was the homemade charloset prepared by the students themselves with apples and cinnamon. Students actively participated in prayers and discussion, sharing reflections on themes that resonated with them. A conversation about the burning bush sparked curiosity about how holiness can appear in everyday life. Equally powerful was the way older students naturally helped younger classmates, modeling kindness, responsibility, and community in action. By making ritual interactive and experiential, Kadima helps students move beyond learning about Jewish tradition to actively living it. These moments, preparing food, asking questions, and supporting one another, help shape memory, identity, and lasting connection to the story of the Exodus. There is an announcement on page 14, Botanica Bash, Friday, May the 1st, 6 to 9 p.m. Get tickets at buffalogardens.com. This will be held at the Buffalo and Erie County Botanical Garden. Page 15. Coming soon to the JRT, Just for Us. A bold, hilarious, and deeply human exploration of identity, empathy, and modern life. The Jewish Repertoire Theater of Western New York continues its tradition of presenting timely, thought-provoking work with its upcoming production of Just for Us, the acclaimed solo show by comedian Alex Edelman. In a premise that is as provocative as it is compelling, Edelman attends a meeting of white nationalists in a Queens apartment. What begins as an act of curiosity unfolds into something far more layered, a sharply funny and deeply personal exploration of identity, religion, assimilation, and the contradictions of contemporary life. With disarming honesty and razor-sharp wit, Just for Us navigates questions of belonging, what it means to be Jewish in today's world, how we relate to those who see us as other, and whether empathy has limits. The result is a piece that is as entertaining as it is thought-provoking, balancing humor with moments of genuine introspection. Originally developed in intimate London venues, Just for Us went on to become a critically acclaimed Broadway hit. Edelman's performance earned him a special Tony Award, recognizing not only the show's comedic brilliance, but also its cultural relevance and emotional depth. In this new staging at the Jewish Repertoire Theater, directed by acclaimed Buffalo actor and comedian Charmaine Chachi, Jordan Levin steps into Edelman's role, bringing a fresh perspective and voice to a work that feels especially urgent in today's divided world. Just for Us will run May the 7th through June the 7th, 2026 in the Maxine and Robert Seller Theater at the Jewish Community Center of Greater Buffalo. Performances take place Thursdays at 7:30 p.m., Saturdays at 3:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m., and Sundays at 2 p.m. Please note there will be no performances May 20th to 24th. This fascinating play sits at the intersection of Jewish identity and the broader human experience, challenging audiences to confront difficult ideas while still finding humor, connection, and unexpected moments of grace. Tickets are available at jewishrepertorytheater.org. Page 16. What will Buffalo's Jewish community look like in the next 20 years? On March 23, 1911, a small group gathered in a room at Zion House, forming what would later become the Foundation for Jewish Philanthropies. These 10 founders had a simple but powerful idea that generosity, when organized with purpose, can shape the future. They may not have known exactly what the community would look like generations later, but they understood something fundamental. Community does not simply sustain itself. It is created, nurtured, and carried forward by people who care enough to take responsibility for it. That spirit is alive all around us today. When we look at our community, there is much to be proud of. We see vibrant institutions, dedicated leadership, and people who continue to help one another, especially in moments of need. We see generosity expressed not only in dollars but in time, in wisdom, and in a shared commitment to something larger than ourselves. All of this exists because those who came before us made intentional choices. They built the institutions we rely on. They invested in buildings, programs, and organizations that would endure. They thought not only about their own needs, but about ours. Many of the agencies that serve our community today reflect that foresight and care. The impact of those decisions is still felt. The Waterman Fund, created in 1911, continues to support community needs today. It is a powerful reminder that a single act of generosity can carry meaning and impact far beyond its moment. This was a summary of the article. Page 18. Exploring Tzedakah and Torah at TBT's Klein Weekend. This June 26th until 28th, TBT is honored to welcome Eliza M. Gray, JD, PhD, Professor of Codes and Responsa Literature and the Mellman Chair of Rabbinics at Hebrew Union College in New York City. Dr. Gray's academic interests include the development of Talmudic literature and the history of Jewish law. One dynamic aspect of her scholarship is recasting the Jewish legal tradition as literature and spirituality. A member of the HUC faculty since 2000, Dr. Gray received her PhD with distinction in Talmud and Rabbinics from the Jewish Theological Seminary. She also holds an LLM in Mishpat Ivri, Jewish law, from the Hebrew University Faculty of Law and a JD from the Columbia University School of Law. On Friday night, there will be a delicious Shabbat dinner by the Bloom and Rose beginning at 5:45 p.m., followed by services at 7:15 p.m. Dr. Gray will share a Dvar Torah on that week's double Torah portions, Shukat Balak. Reservations are required for the dinner. Please visit btzbuffalo.org for cost and registration. On Shabbat morning, with services beginning at 9:15 a.m., Dr. Gray will discuss some of the history and theological messaging in the Torah study blessings, including their ties to tzedakah. The service will be followed by a special Kiddush. Following Mincha afternoon service at 5 p.m., there will be a third Shabbat meal at 5:45 p.m. and at 6:30. Dr. Gray will present on Tzedakah, Judaism's social ethic, with the study of texts that illuminate how traditional Jewish legal and non-legal texts envision a just society. The weekend will conclude on Sunday morning, beginning with Shacharit services at 8:30 a.m., followed by brunch. During brunch, Dr. Gray will discuss classical Jewish texts that bring together tzedakah and the synagogue as core elements of Jewish life from the Talmudic period that continue to reverberate today. Page 19, Kadima Academy, A Living Bridge, by Miriam Traeger. Jewish American Heritage Month invites communities to reflect on how Jewish values, traditions, and institutions have shaped the American story. In Western New York, one of the clearest expressions of that heritage is Kadima Academy, the region's long-standing Jewish day school and a quiet engine of continuity, identity, and learning. Buffalo's Jewish community has long been defined by resilience, optimism, and a deep commitment to education. From the German Jewish immigrants of the mid-1800s to the Eastern European families who built vibrant East Side neighborhoods in the early 20th century, Jewish life centered around synagogues, Hebrew schools, charitable societies, and cultural institutions. Torah study, Hebrew literacy, and reverence for learning were central to communal life. From this legacy, Kadima Academy emerged in 1959. Its founders understood that Jewish life in America would flourish only if the next generation received a strong foundation not only in general academics, but in the language, heritage, and traditions that have sustained the Jewish people for millennia. The school's name, Kadima, meaning forward or progress, captures both its mission and the spirit of American Jewish life, honoring the past while preparing children for the future. Over time, Kadima has been more than a school. It has served as a communal anchor and cultural touchstone, instilling values such as civic responsibility, compassion, perseverance, and pride in Jewish identity. Its graduates have gone on to contribute to law, medicine, business, the arts, public service, and Jewish communal life, locally and beyond, carrying the school's influence wherever they live. As Buffalo's Jewish population moved from the east side to North Buffalo and later to Amherst and Williamsville, Kadima evolved alongside it. Through relocation, program innovation, and partnerships, the school has remained committed to its core mission, nurturing knowledgeable, confident Jewish American children guided by ethical purpose and empathy. Today, located on the Park School campus while maintaining its independent identity, Kadima continues to embody Jewish American heritage. Students learn Hebrew alongside English, study Torah alongside American history, and celebrate both Jewish holidays and civic traditions. They come to understand that Jewish and American identities are not in tension, but mutually enriching. In classrooms, students explore prophets and presidents, mitzvot and constitutional ideals, ancient traditions, and contemporary responsibilities. Through acts of chesed and community engagement, they learn that heritage is not only remembered, it is lived. Jewish American Heritage Month reminds us that the Jewish experience in America is a story of both contribution and continuity. In Buffalo, that story is expressed daily through Kadima Academy, in the voices of children reading Hebrew, in celebrations of Shabbat and holidays, and in lessons that integrate Jewish values with American ideals. More than an institution, Kadima is a living bridge, linking generations, honoring history, and shaping the Jewish American future of Western New York, one student at a time. Page 20, Bunny's Family Lecture Series coming to CSS. A new speaker series is coming to Congregation Shir Shalom, following its inaugural program this June 19 to 20th. The Bunny's Family Lecture Series will become an annual offering generously sponsored by Davis Bunnies and family. Davis' father, Lou Bunnies, was deeply influenced by the Reconstructionist movement and helped found Temple Sinai, one of the first Reconstructionist congregations in Western New York and among the early Reconstructionist communities in the United States. During Rabbi Mordecai Kaplan's visit to Temple Sinai, Lou had the opportunity to meet the founder of the movement. In that spirit, David Bunnies has established this annual lecture series featuring scholars and leaders from the Reconstructionist Rabbinic College. Rabbi Grossman will speak about their journey at Erev Shabbat services at Congregation Shir Shalom on June the 19th. Services begin at 7 p.m. They will co-lead Shabbat morning services on June the 20th and give a short talk at the Kiddush luncheon afterward. If you would like to attend, please RSVP to Joan Marquisi at joan.marquisee@gmail.com. This was a summary of the article. Page 21 has an announcement, Israel and the Ten Commandments, two transformative series exploring the sacred land and the sacred words that shape Jewish identity and purpose. Israel series for 4 Sundays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. begins Sunday, May 17th. It will explore the land of Israel, its history, holiness, and meaning in Jewish life. The other course is the 10 Statements. Will be held for 5 Tuesdays, 7 to 7:45 p.m. and it begins on Tuesday, April the 28th. To register, visit jewishdiscovery.org/classes or call 716-400-1550. Page 23, a women's circle of Psalms. For thousands of years, Jews have gone to the Book of Tehillim, Psalms, as a source of appeals and expressions of thanks, joy, and faith directed to God. These 150 beautiful chapters, or Perakim, are attributed to a number of authors. Some of them are anonymous, but others are well known, such as Moses, Solomon, and most notably, King David. Besides serving to express the spiritual feelings of people in their daily life, the Tehillim were an important part of the temple rituals. There was a psalm prescribed for the Levites to sing each day of the week. In fact, 12 were composed by Asaph, the leading Levite musician of King David's time. Today, the Tehillim remain an inextricable part of Jewish religious practice. For some 25 years, women of the community, coordinated by young Israel members, have come together during the first week following Rosh Chodesh, the head of each Hebrew month, to recite Tehillim. While they gathered physically in earlier years, they currently meet remotely by phone. In doing so, the group includes some women who have moved away but wish to continue participating. Their purpose is to entreat God for help in matters ranging from healing the sick to finding a suitable mate for an individual. The leaders divide the psalms evenly among the participants so that all 150 will be completed during each session. A special feature is the Dvar Torah, a brief spiritual talk on a topic usually related to an occasion at that time of year. These are presented by knowledgeable members of the community and are always anticipated by the group. It is deeply gratifying when participants hear that someone they have been praying for has recovered from illness, or that a long-awaited engagement has been celebrated. All women of the Jewish community are welcome to participate in this holy and fulfilling project. For more information, please call 716-634-0212 or 716-688-6566. Page 24. Rolling credits on a decade of film at CBA. For the past 10 years, the Buffalo Jewish Movie Group has convened in the social hall at Congregation Beth Abraham, 1073 Elmwood Avenue, to watch films, mostly under the radar, with strong Jewish flavor and content. The group was formed and has been led since its inception by Marty Kerker. But with Marty and his wife Shelley moving to the New York metro area later this month, the reins have been turned over to Harvey Stein and Vered Post, a husband and wife filmmaker team. For additional information about the Jewish Movie Group, please email the synagogue at info@congregationbethabraham.net. Next article, Jewish Renewal Shabbat Services. Join Rabbi Jonina for Jewish Renewal mindfulness-based Shabbat morning services on Saturdays, May the 16th and June 13th in Tonawanda at 10 a.m. Bring your willingness to participate in chant, silences, reflection, and Torah. Services will include gathering in a circle to waken bodies, minds, and spirits through prayer. Be open to the gentle wonder of Shabbat morning joy through song. Look for future mindfulness Torah study and life cycle ritual opportunities. Rabbi Jonina began her studies in Aleph, the Alliance for Jewish Renewal, mentored in Rockville, Maryland, by Rabbi David Schneier. She serves as a community rabbi in Greater Buffalo and for Jewish Family Services of Western New York. For more information, contact Rabbi Jonina at 301-452-7847. Page 25. Caregivers identify critical needs in Ralph C. Wilson Foundation workshops. During the week of March the 2nd, Temple Beth Zion hosted 3 workshops inviting caregivers from all ages and life stages. Around 75 caregivers discussed a range of circumstances and pressures facing them as they care for family and friends. Teresa Lawrence of International Deliverables helped attendees explore and understand insurance, long-term care, and legal systems, estate planning, transportation, respite, and personal self-care. It was a terrific honor to facilitate this experience for the TVZ community. The goal was to ensure that stakeholders' voices, opinions, and insights were captured, and I am confident we did just that, Lawrence said. Temple Beth Zion now knows more about the activities caregivers would enjoy if they could take a respite and what support is needed to be successful in their roles as caregivers. TBZ's next steps will include compiling a report of the findings and then discussing potential partnerships with WNY organizations. This could have very far-reaching benefits for our congregants and Jews across Western New York, explains Senior Rabbi Gutman. Working together with our Jewish and non-Jewish partners can make a real difference. Page 26. Celebrate Lag BaOmer and Shavuot at CJL. The Center for Jewish Life invites the community to two uplifting and joy-filled events, Lag BaOmer and Shavuot. Lag BaOmer is a festive day on the Jewish calendar marking the anniversary of the passing of the great sage and mystic Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, author of the Zohar. CJL will celebrate with a lively barbecue and celebration on Monday, May 4th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at 757 Hopkins Road. Shavuot, which commemorates the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai, will be celebrated with a delicious and meaningful Shavuot party on Friday, May the 22nd from 5 to 6:30 p.m. The community will gather for the reading of the Ten Commandments, followed by an incredible spread of dairy favorites, including cheesecake, blintzes, pizza, ice cream, and more, bringing the holiday to life in a flavorful way. The center also offers a variety of enriching Shavuot programs leading up to the holiday. A Jewish Women's Circle event takes place on Tuesday, May the 12th at 7 p.m., followed by a fun and interactive kosher mini chefs program for children on Sunday, May the 17th at 4 p.m., and a C-Teen event on Wednesday, May the 20th. The learning continues with the Tikkun Lail Shavuot lecture series on May the 21st at 11 p.m. For more information, call 716-639-7600 or visit jewishbuffalo.com. Page 26 has several announcements. Jewish American Heritage Month. Celebrate the art of belonging, Jewish identity, community, and cultural pride. Free and open to public. Thursday, May the 28th, 2026. Program will start at 12:30 until 1:30 p.m. This will be held at Old Erie County Hall, Ceremonial Court Room, 2nd floor, 92 Franklin Street, Buffalo, New York. RSVP to Alisa Faust at afaust@nycourts.gov. Another announcement, the Jewish Museum of Buffalo and Stav Appel present the Torah in the Tarot, Saturday, June the 20th, 7 to 10 p.m., and Sunday, June the 21st, 1 to 6 p.m. Adults $10. For more information, go to www.jmbuffalo.org. Page 28 has several announcements. Jai Hebrew School, bringing Jewish learning to life. Jai Hebrew School offers an engaging approach to Jewish education, creating an environment where children feel inspired, connected, and proud of their heritage. Rather than emphasizing rote memorization, Jai focuses on understanding, creativity, and the real-life application of Jewish values. For more information, call 716-639-7600 or visit jewishbuffalo.com. Next announcement, Midlife Engagement Shabbat Dinner will be held Friday, May the 15th, 7 p.m. RSVP by May the 8th, and also will be held on Friday, June the 19th, 7 p.m. RSVP by June the 12th. For more information, please visit buffalojewishfederation.org/link-gatherings. Next announcement, Wise Gatherings Wise Women Gathering will be held on Thursday, May the 7th and June the 11th from 7 to 9 p.m. Wise Men Gathering will be held Sunday, June the 7th, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. For more information, contact Robin at buffalojewishfederation.org. Next announcement, Gone Israel Day Camp for boys 3 to 8 years and girls 3 to 12 years. Dates and times, July the 6th until August the 13th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Register today at ganisraelbuffalo.com/register, or you may call 716-834-1915. Page 29 has an announcement. PJ Library, save the dates. PJ and me, Sunday, May the 3rd, 10 to 11 a.m. PJ Paul's Shabbat, Friday, May the 8th, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. PJ Paul's Shabbat, Friday, June the 12th, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. PJ and me, Sunday, June the 21st, 10 to 11 a.m. For more information, please visit buffalojewishfederation.org/link-gatherings. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jewish Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Page 36, Not the Last Word, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, on Music, Memory and Finding Home, by Sarava Fried. When I was a sophomore in college, I was cast as Dorothy in my all-women's college production of The Wizard of Oz. Every night when I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I had no frame of reference for the song's creation. Later I learned that the piece was written by Harold Arlen, the son of a cantor born right here in Buffalo, who later went on to write one of the most beloved songs in American history. I certainly had no idea that I would one day spend 10 years living in the very city that formed him. Somewhere Over the Rainbow did not emerge from nowhere. I like to think it emerged from Harold's childhood experiences of being in a synagogue and being exposed to a tradition of reaching toward something beyond the ordinary world, and within that reach, trusting that music could carry what words alone cannot. This is what music does. It plants an understanding of something profound and meaningful in you long before you understand what it is. Jewish music did that for me from the beginning. I grew up in a small Reconstructionist synagogue in Pittsburgh, where our rabbi led us in prayer with her guitar. Something about that image, the sacred and the melodic intertwined so naturally, never left me. Long before I had the language for it, I understood that music was not decoration for worship. It was the worship itself. Music creates a container for our prayers, a vessel large enough to hold grief, gratitude, longing and joy, sometimes all at once. A nigun needs no words because the soul already knows what it means. The opening notes of Anetane Tokev on Rosh Hashanah can frame the entire sweep of a year, pushing us within seconds into a place of reflection and understanding that 1,000 words of prose could not reach. A child singing Sulzer's setting of the Shema for the very first time teaches us more about the meaning of Ledor Vador than any textbook ever could, because the melody itself is the inheritance being passed down in real life. I spent years teaching young children in Jewish early childhood programs here in Buffalo, first at Kadima Academy and later at the Pals Press School, and what I witnessed daily was this truth made visible. Children who could not yet read, who had no theological framework, who were simply alive and present, were transformed by music. Morning blessings could settle the most restless room into something that felt genuinely like prayer. Circle time became sacred space. Music met them exactly where they were and brought them somewhere deeper. That experience led me to the pulpit. After years in the classroom, I found myself drawn to the cantorate in a way I could no longer ignore. I enrolled in cantorial school at AJR and began serving Temple Beth Tzedek here in Buffalo, first as a cantorial intern and later as cantorial soloist. What I discovered at the Bima confirmed what the classroom had already taught me. Music is not a warm-up for the spiritual work. It is the spiritual work. It is how we find each other across differences, how we remember who we are when life has made us forget, and how we reach together toward something we cannot quite name but can somehow feel. Now I carry all of this forward as I step into a new role as cantor at Congregation Beth El in Voorhees, New Jersey. Buffalo has been my teacher in many ways I am still understanding. This city shaped a cantor's son into a songwriter who made the whole world reach toward the horizon. It shaped me too. I live with a full heart and more gratitude than words can hold. Jewish Buffalo showed me that music is not something we make alone. It is something we make together, and what brings as a shared song has a way of becoming something much more. Dearest friends, chosen family, and a community that holds you. I never dared to dream that I would find my true voice in Buffalo, New York, but that dream came true, and I carry this city and the people in it with me always. Zahava Fried is currently cantorial soloist at Temple Beth Tzedek. She will be leaving the community at the end of June to be the cantor at Congregation Beth El in Voorhees, New Jersey. She is grateful for this new journey and the foundation that Buffalo has given her. She will never stop rooting for the Bills. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the May-June 2026 issue of the Jewish Journal. Your reader has been Mary Ann. Thank you for listening.